Hello and welcome to my channel, where I review some of the greatest movies of all time, and also some of the worst movies of all time. Today, we're going to be reviewing The Menu, starring Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Nicholas Hoult. Ralph Fiennes is better known as Voldemort. Nicholas Hoult is better known as the Beast.
Huh? What the hell is that? Whoa.
From the X-Men movies. And Anya Taylor-Joy is in Split and Glass, those movies with Bruce Willis as the superhero and, Unbreakable type. But anyway, let's get into the movie. So it starts off, homeboy, his name's Tyler. Nicholas Hoult's character, his name is Tyler. He's like, hey, please don't smoke. Kill your taste buds, brother. Just don't do it. I'm asking you nicely. Don't do it. I'm serious. You stupid little idiot. Don't smoke. We're going to take this small boat over to an island where all the rich ballers are. It's real rich people stuff only. And they're kind of disappointed because they see people going there as well, but I don't know what he expected. Anyway, so like some food critics are going, some famous rich actor guy, John Leguizamo. He's just known as the actor in the credits. That's what he's credited as. It's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, they're just on the boat.
Boat jokes. Yeah. Boat, yeah, we're on a boat.
We're on a boat.
And they're going off to some really fancy schmancy island, and nobody really knows what's going on quite yet, but we're going to find out real quick what we're all doing here on this island together, brother. So on the way over, they have a little bit of appetizers, some weird food. It's like some algae and lemon drops. And homeboy Tyler, he's about to, just really lose it because it's so good. He's like, wow, this is awesome. And then, they finally land and they dock the boat, and they're getting off. And they're all welcomed, by name, of course, because this is ballers only event type, like you can't be here unless you're on the list. And Tyler's on the list. Turns out Margot, she wasn't on the list. It was supposed to be somebody else, but he's like, yo, change of plans. She's coming with me now. She's my lady. And that's that, And the hostess, believe her name's Elsa. She says, we're going to make your stay as pleasant as possible. Let me show you the 12 acres of this island that we use to farm. And, we have some pastures here and we use all farm fresh stuff. And those people out there are harvesting oysters for you right now. And, the rich guys that came on the boat with them, they're like, hey, work harder. We're so hungry, so get more oysters, you stupid little idiots, because we're hungry.
Harvest harder, me dude! We're starving!
And, they move on after that. Elsa, the hostess lady, she's showing them all the cool stuff around the island, basically. They got a smoker, they got, some natural beehives, just real cool stuff, like you would, this island, you're balling when you get here. Anyway, we move on, They all live there, apparently, because Elsa takes them to, their little apartment area, and they live there, and they never leave, ever, I guess. But, they wake up at 6 a.m., and they right away get to work every day. That's what they do, And they like to take care of the ballers, you could say. Then they finally arrive in the dining room, and they all have assigned tables. So, everybody's seated accordingly. And you see the cooks, already at work back there because it's kind of like an open kitchen sort of vibe in there. And Tyler, Mr. Homeboy, he's just like, wow, this is so cool. I got to go up there and ask questions, because I myself am such a fan. He's a big fanboy. He goes over there. He's like, hey, is that a Paco jet? Because I have one at home.
Do you make that with a Paco jet?
And I do stuff like this at home.
Yeah, I have one.
And I could be a cook if I wanted, but, we're here. And yeah, the cook's like, yeah, this is a Paco jet, man. Please take your seat, Tyler. It's fine. And he's like, oh, okay, goodbye. And they take their seat, Tyler and Margot, Mr. Homeboy. And he's like, wow, did you see that, Margot? They're all like amazing back there, and they know my name. This is so cool. And she's like, yeah, I noticed you didn't ask him his name. And he's like, oh, I don't care about that guy's name. We're ballers. We're here to eat, and we're customers, And then, you get the first meal. It's like a little appetizer. It's some sort of melon cucumber and milk snow made by the Paco Jet. I don't even know what the hell a Paco Jet is, but it's a pretty cool machine if it can make milk snow. Like, whatever that is, sounds good. And some sort of weird burnt seaweed, I guess. I don't know. The food critic is not pleased. She's not impressed. She's not pleased, but she'll eat it, you know what I mean? Because she's there, so she's like, I guess I'll eat this crap. Anyway, Elsa, the hostess lady, she's like, please don't take any pictures. This is a very private event. And Tyler doesn't care. He's like over there snapping photos with his phone on the down low. He's like, but, anyway, he's living his good baller life. And then, you get the scene, or not, it's the same scene, but you get the table next to him, and it's these three guys, and, they're just talking about how horrible they are. They cheat on their wives, but they make a lot of money at work, and at least they have their work. But, they're rich ballers, so that's what they do. And then it goes back to Tyler and Margot, and they kind of have a brief conversation about, are you into the food? And Margot's like, sure, it's nice. And Tyler's like, no, this is the ingredients of life and of death. Really metaphorical stuff, dude. So it's like, if you get it, you get it, But anyway, after that, the chef finally comes out, and Tyler's like just so juiced to see him. He's like, wow, that's Mr. Slovik, the chef. It's, Ralph Fiennes' character. Wow. He's just enamored by him. So then we get to the first course, and the chef does a really loud clap, and everybody comes to attention, kind of like military vibes going on, Yeah, it's pretty impressive. He's like, hey, I only ask one thing. Don't eat the food. Enjoy the food, savor the morsels, savor it bite for bite type of stuff, Don't just eat like a cow, Don't be that guy. My food is too good for that.
But do not eat. Our menu is too precious for that.
So the first course is basically just rocks and little plants that they put on there with tweezers, and pretty fancy stuff, and we get a little scene of John Leguizamo and how he's kind of like a washed up actor, but he has an idea for a food show, so I think maybe that's why he's there. And he's, talking about how he's gonna make it big and win an Emmy because he's gonna do the food show, and in the food show he's going to talk about how it's not cool to be racist and how good food is, and he's going to win an Emmy for that.
Support me, and I close my eyes and I fake an orgasm. And
I mean, it's pretty foolproof plan, and he's there with his assistant slash mistress. They don't really specify her name, and again, John Leguizamo, he's just credited as the actor, so there's that. And the rich boys are all there, they're kind of like, food's okay, my chef at home could do this, you've met Ricardo, right? And his homie's like, oh yeah, I know Ricardo, I go to your house all the time for dinner, man. I'm not sure if they do, but, that's what they say. Then it kind of moves on and shows another couple at the dining room tables, and it's, just a boring old couple, they're married, and, they're just kind of having meaningless talk, and the one girl's just staring. The old guy's wife is just staring at Margot and is like, wow, she looks so much like our Claire, wow. And, the chef's just kind of watching them all eat, and he's like, all right, I want plating in 5 minutes for the second course. And it's pretty cool. All the cooks that are cooking are like, yes, chef, yes. you know, like real military, like it's amazing. It's super cool.
I want plating in 5.
And then it's the second course, you know, finally comes out, and you get the big clap, big slap. And chef he demands respect, you know, he demands it. So he, you know, kind of goes talking on about bread and how it's been around for super freaking long time, and it's super accessible, and it started as like a peasant type of food, you know, but the people there, they're not peasants, they're ballers only, so they don't get any of the bread.
Tonight, you get no bread.
So they get just the condiments, like, you know, stuff you'd put on bread, like oil and things of that nature, but no bread, because they're too good for that. And the people are pretty upset about this. They're like, this has got to be a prank. Like, am I being pranked or punked? Like, is Ashton Kutcher gonna come out? And it's just he's being serious though. He's like, no bread.
You get no bread.
Nothing for you guys. And they get pretty upset. They start complaining, and you know, the rich boys are like, you know who we are, and complain to the hostess. And she's like, yeah, I know who you guys are. Of course, I welcomed you all by name. Of course I know who you are, and I know who you work for, but you're not getting any bread, so just calm down, take a seat, you know. And at this point, the chef's kind of walking around. He's, you know, looking at him. Ralph Fiennes is like kind of eyeballing everybody, and he notices Margot's not eating anything, and he's not too happy about that. He's like, what was my food not good enough for you? And you know, Margot's kind of just like, this isn't really food, it's just weird fancy stuff, and I'm not really into it. And he's like, oh, you're gonna be into it, you know, because we have plating in 3 minutes for course 3. And you know, again, the cook's like, yes chef, like we're in the military, yes. And honestly, one of my favorite characters of this whole movie is the wine server guy. He just goes around all the time, and he's like just so cheerful. You know, he's just so good in the movie. He's like, the way he describes wine is just hilarious.
Sense of longing and regret.
But yeah, so then we move on to course 3. They call it memory. You know, each course has like a name and stuff. It's cool. But the chef talks about, you know, how on Tuesdays was Taco Tuesday for him, and you know, it got pretty dark pretty fast here. So he's like, you know, one Taco Tuesday, my mom, who's also in the dining room, you know, she's drunk, and she's always drunk, and my dad came home, and he's drunk and more drunk than usual. So then he tries to kill his mom, and he's like, well, hey, that's not happening, buddy. And he stabs his dad in the thigh with some scissors. And you know, everybody's just like, wow, that was not what I expected from the chef. But you know, the food critics are like, yes, of course, this is just part of the whole bit, you know, it's theater. And I don't think it's not theater, it's like an actual real story. But Tyler takes some more pictures, because you know, it's what he does. He's taking pictures of all the food as it comes out, and you know, he goes, okay, well, you know, this is my memory, so enjoy, you know, Taco Tuesday. It's one of the dishes we're famous for here. And he hands out some tacos and some tortillas to people, and you know, the people start eating them. And as they're eating them, they realize on these tortillas they've got little messages and photos and like custom things that they've used a laser engraver to, you know, make these messages for these rich folks. And you know, the rich guys, they've got on their tortillas like falsified statements and, you know, money that they're sending off to Cayman Islands. It's like really just not good, you know. And clearly it's criminal activity, and they get really upset about it, and they're like, hey, hostess Elsa, what is this? And she's like, these are tortillas.
These are tortillas. Tortillas deliciosas.
Yes.
And they're like, no, what is this? And she's like, these are tortillas. This is a pretty funny moment, actually. But then she's like, there are tortillas containing your falsified records and, you know, all that stuff. And they get real butthurt, and they're like, oh, man, we're going down. But if we're going down, they're going down with us. And, you know, Tyler's tortillas have pictures of him taking the pictures of the food. And he's like, how did they get these? I'm so screwed. And it's like, buddy, I mean, you're in plain view doing this. But like, anyway, and then the boring people, they have you know, pictures of the husband cheating on the wife, you know, just real basic bland stuff for boring old people. You know, he's like a rich baller, so he's like, I'll do whatever I want at this point. But yeah, after that, you know, Margot's like, oh, that's not right. They shouldn't be taking pictures of you and putting them on these tortillas without your consent. They're not allowed to do that. And she's like, I need to go to the ladies' room to blaze up a cigarette. So, you know, let me excuse myself real quick. And chef comes in, and he's like, what are you doing in here? You haven't eaten at all. What's your name and where are you from? And she's like, I'm from Margot, and do you want my trailer address? Like, get out of my face. I'm just trying to smoke a cigarette here. And then, you know, she walks away. She's a little upset about that, but I don't blame her. So then for the fourth course, they bring out this big tarp and they put it on the ground. You know, it's really big deal. Like, they put flowers all around it, so you think, you know, maybe they're gonna do like some sort of Hawaiian luau thing, you know. And they introduced the sous chef Jeremy, and he's like, this is my sous chef Jeremy. He's a wonderful cook, but he'll never be great. And, you know, the chef is introducing him as that, and he's like, he wants my job and my prestige, but, you know, let's ask him how he feels. And, you know, at this point, Jeremy is like crying, and, you know, he's standing over the tarp. And, you know, trigger warning here, there's some themes of self-harm, so, you know, just be warned. If that is something you're not into, this is not a good movie for you. But anyway, so he's talking about his new dish called the mess, and, you know, they kind of go on a little bit about their lives, and, you know, the mess they make of their lives and their bodies, just to please people that they don't even know, you know, mainly the customers, like the folks that they serve. And the chef is asking Jeremy, you know, he's like, do you want my prestige? Do you want my life? And Jeremy's just crying, dude. He's like, I don't want this. And he goes, it's okay, son. And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy's the mess. And then he, you know, he takes out a gun and kind of K-words himself there, right there on the floor. And everybody's just like, oh my Lanto, what just happened? Half of them don't think it's real. You know, some of them think it's real, and they start freaking out at this point, and they're like, what the heck's going on here? This is weird, and rightfully so. And, you know, the food critics are just thinking it's like Shakespeare theater. They're like, yeah, this is all part of the bit. You know, he always does this. John Leguizamo was like, no, this is not a bit. This is for sure real. WTF, my guy. Like, why did you let him do that? And, you know, they come out, so the cooks and Elsa, you know, they're like, hey, chef wants to see Margot in the kitchen. And Tyler's super jealous at that point. He's like, that's not fair. I'm a good cook. I want to be in there. A couple of them try to run, and like there's some buff security guards, and, you know, they're like not happening. They're not having any of that. So they go sit everybody back down, and the boring old husband guy tries to leave, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna handle this. And, you know, his wife's like, okay, go ahead and handle it. And, you know, the hostess is like, well, what hand are you going to use to take care of this? And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, oh, I'll just choose for you. And then, you know, the buff security guards like pin him down, and they're like, left hand, and they cut off his ring finger, and it's like really graphic stuff. And he's like sitting there crying like a little baby on the floor because, you know, he got his finger cut off. It's really terrible. And it's pretty scary at this point. Like, it's fully kind of like just on and popping. And the wine guy, my favorite guy, he's just going around serving wine. He's like, got this one. It's a nice red, some barnyard funk to it. You know, he's amazing. He's the best in the movie, honestly. I don't think the movie would have been the same without him.
It's a bit of barnyard funk and just a wonderful match with roasted proteins.
So then, you know, they invite Margot back to the kitchen, and they're telling her, hey, you know, who do you want to sit with during all of this, you know, because pretty much everyone is going to die tonight is what they tell her. And she's like, well, what do you mean, who do I want to sit with? And he's like, you know, us or them, and we'll give you 15 minutes to figure that out. And she's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go think on this for a while. And, you know, Tyler's just so mad about this, and, you know, he's just being a total butthole about it. And he's like, why did I not get to go to the kitchen? I have a Paco Jet at home, like, Paco Jet this, Paco Jet that, and, you know, anyway, they bring out some tea and a little palate cleanser from the mess that they had just eaten, which was basically just roasted beef and some fancy bone marrow and things of that nature. So then, you know, Tyler's just unfazed by all of this stuff going on.
Is this bergamot I'm getting, Chef?
He's eating and drinking like completely normal, which is just bizarre, super bizarre. And he's like, oh yeah, this is great tea. Do I sense, you know, bergamot in here? And Chef's like, yes. For crying out loud, yes, it's bergamot, Tyler. Like, will you just please shut up, Tyler? He doesn't say that, but you can tell he's just getting so fed up with this guy at this point. The chef, he starts going around, you know, kind of calling everybody out. Like the food critic, you know, they were complaining earlier, so he just keeps bringing them more of the same thing they complained about over and over, kind of trolling them. It's pretty good. And then, you know, he goes to the old couple. He's like, how many times have people even eat in here? And they're like, I don't know, 11. And he goes, can you name me any dishes? And they can't, because they're just completely senile and they don't care about anything. And anyway, the rich guys, you know, the work guys, they're all there. They're like, yeah, do you know who our boss is? He owns this restaurant and he financed you through the pandemics. And he's like, oh yes, I know him very well. And they show him, you know, outside on a rope, and then they basically just drown him right there in front of everybody. And then the chef's like, I'm finally free. Yes, I'm free. And it's pretty savage, because at this point people know they're probably not escaping, but there's not much they could do about it because they're surrounded by like 100 people. So then they go over to Margot and they ask, you know, did you make a decision, you know, or not? And she goes, no, I haven't made a decision, you know. And then pretty scared, and it's really scary here. And the chef is like, well, you know, I'll make the decision for you. You belong with us, you know, your own kind, the service workers. And I can recognize that you're a service industry worker. And plot twist, she's a service worker, a.k.a. Lady of the Night. So Tyler just, you know, hired her to be there with him, which is really screwed up, because now she's in this situation she shouldn't have even been in. But, you know, Tyler's actual girlfriend broke up with him, so he just hired this lady off of, like, the internet to be his date and whatnot. And it's really sad. And then, you know, fast forward after that, they get a little hot, so they invite everybody outside into the nighttime. And it's another sous chef lady. And she's like, you know, a couple years ago, the chef tried to, you know, make advances on me, and he's a bad guy, but I'm gonna forgive him now because I stabbed him in the leg. Just everybody watch. She says, it's okay, I forgive you. And everybody at this point is like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is such a scary, like, situation we're in, and we don't know what to do anymore. So then they announced that all the men get a 45-second head start to try to escape the island, you know. And without a hesitation, one of the little rich guys, just, you know, the worker guys, he takes off, run, and he's like, I'm out of here. And the chef's like, okay, sure. We're going to give you 45 seconds, and then we're going to catch you again, or at least attempt to. And, all the guys just leave their significant others there without even a second thought. It's super sad. But, they wind up catching all these people. It doesn't even matter. Like, one by one, they get caught, and they turn on each other super fast, but they all get caught, and the last person to get caught was one of the food critics, and he's in there hiding with the chickens because he's a chicken, and, he's a stupid little idiot in there. But they bring him, like, a creme fraiche egg. Looked pretty fire, actually. Like, I would have ate it for sure. But they're like, here's your consolation prize, and they drag them all back inside, and they're like, you're all gonna die tonight. And it was Catherine's idea to have everybody die tonight, including the workers, like the cooks and all that. They're gonna die together too, because they're done. They're fed up with it. They've, at this point, it's kind of a Manson family vibe. Like, it's not good. It's like a full-blown Waco in there. And, everybody's pretty much gonna die or go out fighting type of situation, but nobody fights back. They all just ran, and I think that was maybe to tire them out. I don't know. It isn't good at all. The wine guy's still just cheery as all heck. He's, serving wine still, and, they serve the next course with some yogurts and some crabs, some lettuce and stuff like that. And yeah, so then Tyler's still just eating like nothing, nothing's phased him at this point, and he's like enjoying the food to the point where he's taking Margot's food and then, eating that. And a chef walks up to him. He's like, I heard you have a Paco jet at home, so why don't you get in the kitchen and cook us up a little something. And just totally embarrasses him at this point. And he's like, oh no, I couldn't do that, I couldn't. And he goes, well, no, you can, because you agreed to be here knowing that everyone was gonna die. And he goes, yeah, you're right. And Margot at this point loses it. She's so upset. She's like, you son of a, you're freaking so horrible. You invited me over here and you knew I was gonna die. And I think that's kind of why Chef feels bad. And and Chef says something to him, and he starts crying tears at this point. He takes his leave, and you see him. I mean, you don't see him, but when Margot walks past him to go have his conversation with Chef, she sees he has unalived himself. It's pretty tragic. Everyone at this point is kind of going around the room like, do we deserve to die? And Chef's like, yeah, you all deserve to die. You went to some really good school and you have no student loans, and the other guy, the actor, you're a horrible actor, and you wasted my one day off and months because I went and saw your movie, and you're just a crappy actor with no passion. And they tell Margot at this point, you're one of us, so you're gonna help. So they send her to get a barrel, and she goes to get the barrel, and Elsa's like, hey, he never told me about this barrel. You're not replacing me. And they start attacking each other. And well, Elsa starts attacking Margot, and they get into like a little altercation, and lo and behold, Margot winds up killing her. But she gets the barrel. She walks into, the chef's house where no one's allowed to go, and, kind of rifles through his stuff, and she sees a bunch of old pictures of him on the wall, and, some of the first restaurants he's ever worked. And in the process, she finds a radio, and she signals for help. So she goes back in there and kind of tries to play it cool. And, the Coast Guard shows up, and they're like, at this point, they all think they're freaking happy. We're saved. Heck yeah, we're going to get saved by the Coast Guard guy. And the chef is like, nah, that ain't happening. If you guys say anything, we're killing this innocent guy, and that's on you. You want that blood on your hands, that's on you. And sure enough, they're like all pretty quiet about it, except John, Leguizamo, the actor guy. They recognize him, the Coast Guard. He's like, hey, aren't you, that actor? Can I get your autograph? And he writes, help us, and then the Coast Guard's like, all right, everybody freeze, I got a gun. And a couple minutes later, he lights the candle with the gun, because it turns out that he was just one of the cooks pretending to be part of the Coast Guard. So joke's on the people, and he's like, yeah, you guys are stupid little idiots. You didn't even try to fight back. Like, it's just pathetic. Anywho, at this point, everybody's dying, so, you know, Margot's like, well, I haven't eaten all day, and I want an actual meal now. You know, I'm hungry. This is bullcrap. And he goes, well, what do you want? She's like, well, I just want a cheeseburger. You know, a classic cheeseburger, not a fancy one, like a classic one. And he goes, you know, he kind of smiles at this point, because he's like, oh, and I haven't actually enjoyed cooking or cooked anything I wanted to cook, or, you know, something I enjoy for somebody nice in a long time. And she goes, well, can you do that? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll make you the best cheeseburger you ever had. You know, make you feel like you were eating the first one, you know, the one your parents couldn't even afford. And she's like, well, how much is it? And he's like, it's $9.95. You know, they have like, this is like the best scene in the whole movie, honestly. And she's like, yeah, I want fries too if it comes with it. And he's like, yeah, I gotcha. And he makes a hell of a cheeseburger. I mean, it's juicing, it's cheesy, and, you know, he makes it for her. And then she's like, you know, I think my eyes were a little too big for my stomach. I can't finish this. Can I get the rest of this hamburger to go? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. And at this point, she realizes that, you know, he's letting her leave. And, you know, she's the one to escape and survive, because she's the only one that actually cared about him at all, ever showed him any kind of decency, you know. And Chef is like, yeah, here's your cheeseburger and a little gift bag, you know, a copy of our menu from tonight and some homemade granolas, you know, things of that nature. And she's like, thanks, here's a $10 tip, and really appreciate it. And then, you know, she walks out of the restaurant and they let her go, and everybody else has to stay. And he demands everybody pays at this point, even though no one's leaving. He's like, you know, this is a matter of the bill time, so everybody get out your credit cards, you know, this is ballers only. So everybody pays, and he's like, all right, let's get on to the final part of it, you know, the dessert. And s'mores, you know, it's going to be a really good classic, but, you know, it's an offensive classic because it's, you know, it's just so much going on. And his twist is, you know, he puts the ingredients on the humans and turns them into human s'mores, you know, and then it gets pretty dark pretty quick, you know, and then he lights them all up, and the building itself, you know, it catches on fire. And then cut scene to Margot eating her cheeseburger on the boat she escaped on, and she's just kind of watching the fire, you know, and enjoying her cheeseburger, and, you know, and that's actually the way the movie ends. That's the movie, you know. It was it worth watching? Yeah, I've seen it probably 3 times now. It was a great movie. Ralph Fiennes is one of my favorite actors of all time, actually. He does an amazing job in every movie I've ever seen him in, anyway. The Beast was pretty good. You know, Nicholas Hoult was pretty good. Everybody played their part really well. You had that amazing wine server guy who was describing the wines to just like a perfect tea. Is the movie worth watching? Yeah, absolutely. I would highly recommend watching The Menu. Well, that does it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.